Welcome everyone to week 6. Today we will talk about Korean American food and food culture. As a matter of fact, from this week we will talk about Koreans living overseas and how their food culture changed, but influenced by the local food, but at the same time how their food changed, made some impacts on the local food as well. So in our first session, we will talk about Korean American food. But before, what I will cover today is the general history of Asian food in America, and particularly paying attention to immigrants, wars, and globalization within America, and also the wars that American troops were involved. These all brought foreign food to America. So that's why we are covering that part. And also among Asian American food, we will talk about Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, and Thai food, because they are the most popular and well-known Asian American food in America. And then we will move to Korean food. But initially, because Korean food was confined only to the Korean community, first in sugarcane plantations in Hawaii, and then later Los Angeles, Koreatown. So we will talk about it. And also, at some time in 1980s, Korean food began to spread out beyond Koreatowns. And so we will cover that part. And eventually, in the last 2 decades, the Hallyu boom and how this have made Korean food even more popular in North America. So after this lecture, you will have understood how migration, human migration, wars, and also social cultural changes within the host society, and also in the individual members of host society who have desire to be a cosmopolitan. Now this, how all of them made Asian food and cuisine popular in American society today. And particularly, you will have understood how the 1965 Immigration Act, the new immigration law in America, brought more diverse population from all over Asia and elsewhere, and making American society more diverse, which also brought culinary diversities to the US. And you will also have understood how Korean food, Korean American food, more specifically, developed within Koreatowns, which means Korean communities, and until the 1980s, when it also spread out to wider society beyond the Koreatowns. And also, you will have understood the new, nearly explosive popularity of Korean food everywhere in the world, but particularly in American market, and with the influence of Hallyu in the 21st century. So, our first session, we will talk about the general history of Asian food in America through immigrants, wars, and globalization. Human migration is one of the most direct cause of disseminating new cuisine in any country and food cultures to other countries. And Asian immigrants to America brought, of course, their own food to America, making American culinary scenes very diverse. And today, among all the countries in the world, America is one of the most diverse country in terms of culinary culture. And any big cities, or even small cities in America, one can enjoy all kinds of food, particularly Asian food. And now that was the result of 1965 Immigration Act in America. First, even though Hawaii was not US territory until 1898, Hawaii was the center of Asian migration. Like at first, Japanese, Chinese, Filipinos, and Koreans came to Hawaii to work at sugarcane plantation. And because all these Asians were concentrated on Hawaii, so food in Hawaii became very diverse in terms of Asian food. And of course, when Hawaii became the formal part of America, this food, the Hawaii maintained its culinary tradition. So even today, when you go Hawaii, you will see from people's daily food culinary life, you will see Japanese influence, Chinese influence, Filipinos influence, not to mention Korean influence. So in this first image, at a sugarcane plantation, possibly in early 20th century, two Filipino workers are having their lunch. And what they are eating is very much similar to today, as a matter of fact, the ordinary Hawaiian people. And they are eating rice, chicken, and so on. And it also includes Korean kalbi and also kimchi as well. So in the center, you see the image of spam that with Japanese and Okinawan influence, the Hawaiians enjoy spam musubi. And the book Kao Kao, that's a Hawaiian language, but it came from Chinese language, Chao Chao, the sound of eating. So Chinese food, very much from Fujian and Guangdong, these two provinces, Chinese workers who came to Hawaii, they left big legacies and impact on Hawaiian food, which became a part of Asian American food culture in America today. So a very typical lunch, in Hawaii they call it plate lunch, very much includes quite a bit of Korean food. In this case, this L&L Hawaiian Barbecue is quite a big company, and they have many restaurants throughout Hawaii and California and mainland the US, but also in Okinawa and Japan. And this typical lunch plate includes kalbi, so-called LA kalbi, and meatjeon, and some mung bean sprout namul, or sukju namul, and also white steamed rice. So that's how in Hawaii, these migrations from various Asian countries enriched the Asian community's food by mixing all kinds of the food from China and Japan and Okinawa and Korea and the Philippines and so on. Another important factors in American Asian food history is war. Especially after the Second World War, the end of the Second World War was the beginning of the Cold War, as we know, and there was a couple of wars that American troops were involved since World War II. And that includes the Vietnamese War, but before Vietnamese War, of course, the Korean War in 1950. And this also brought culinary changes in America. How? For example, today, we all know that pizza is an Italian food, but as a matter of fact, pizza developed into American food after the Second World War. By whom? By the American veterans, the soldiers who fought in Italy, where they developed this taste of pizza. When they returned to America, they wanted to have pizza. And that's why pizza developed in America, and both the big global pizza companies such as Domino's and Pizza Hut, they are all American companies, not Italian companies. Similarly, the Vietnamese War in 1960s and early 70s also contributed to the spread of Vietnamese as well as Thai food, by the way, when these veterans returned to America. And why Thai food? Because the war was in Vietnam. But American troops, not only American, Australian, New Zealand, Korean troops, they frequently took rest in Thailand, where there was no war, during their holiday. So naturally, they also enjoyed the Thai food, and many of them actually married Thai ladies, and when they returned to America, the Thai food started to develop. So war tend to spread out the food. And after the Vietnamese War, a lot of so-called boat people, the refugees, came to America, and they brought their own culinary culture, and frequently they would open Vietnamese restaurant in America, and the Vietnamese restaurant become very available everywhere, and that's how Vietnamese food gained popularity. And this is a slightly deviant story, but kiwi fruits from New Zealand also spread out globally after the Second World War, thanks to American troops who stationed in New Zealand, even though there was no war in New Zealand itself, but they started to taste kiwi fruits. And when they returned to America, they wanted to import this. Up to that time, kiwi fruits were not globally known at all. And New Zealanders began to export kiwi fruits to America, and from America, it spread out all over the world. And countries like America, which is very multicultural, any ethnic food, when it gains popularity, that becomes national food. Like a pizza. Pizza is American food today, and not to mention taco. Taco is a Mexican food, but it was commercialized, and it became a part of essential food culture in America. So now Taco Bell's American company, not Mexican company. So any ethnic food that once they gain the national interest, it become American food. So this is a pattern that today Chinese American food you find only in America. When Chinese tourists come to America and taste the Chinese American food, they don't believe that's Chinese because it changed so much in American, according to American palate. So that's why Chinese American food is a unique food only in America. And now that has become an essential part of American culinary life. And by the mid-1980s, the American taste became more global. And that's thanks to like one generation after 1965, the new immigration law, and it spread out widely throughout American society, and Asian food was becoming an essential part of American culinary life. So in our second session, we will talk about Chinese American food and how Chinese American food developed through the modern history of America, and it became a part of an essential American culinary culture.